it's supposed to feel.
Good evening, Pirates fans. Welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show. I'm your host, Jim Rosati. Joining me tonight is Neil. Neil, it's 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. Pirates are winners in Seattle, 11-6 tonight. How's it going for you?
I'm exhausted.
Good.
Yeah,
no, I mean, geez, what a way to kick off this West Coast trip.
Yeah.
Typically during Mitch Keller starts, when we do these post-game shows, we kind of spend a lot of time talking about him first, and we'll get to Mitch Keller. But today, the story of the day was the bats, the offense. We've been talking so long about how we've just been starving for power, and you know, the Lumber Company came out tonight. 7 home runs by the Pirates, and it all started. First batter of the game, Andrew McCutchen, leadoff homer. And against a really good pitcher, George Kirby for the Mariners. So pretty impressive offensive display tonight. Again, 11-run performance. Pretty cool to see. They needed it.
It's interesting that we seemingly can only hit off of right-handed aces. Because what's this now? Erod, Gallen, and Kirby, who are, I mean, I guess he's not the ace of the Mariners, probably Castillo, but like really, really good right-handed pitching. And everyone else, we do absolutely nothing against. Like, I think this team collectively shuts down against left-handed pitching, which is fascinating. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was hard to believe, you know. You started off the game a bit rough. You know, you got some runs in, but you know, we kept straining runners in scoring position. You were kind of thinking it's going to be one of those games. And then we started hitting everything out of the park.
Well, they tie a franchise record tonight with their 7 home runs. Let's kind of go through them all. Andrew McCutchen leads off the game with a home run. Carlos Santana finally breaks out of his slump. I think this was the longest of his career without a home run, if I remember correctly. He had not homered since the Pirates home opener. So he tied the game in the 4th inning against his former team. Jack Sawinski, but breaks out of his slump. He homers in the 5th, and then he homers again in the 7th. Hayes homers, who, you know, we've been talking, we need more power out of Hayes. Hayes homers again in the 5th. That was a back-to-back home runs between Sawinski and Hayes. And then to cap things off, Marcano homers, and then Brian Reynolds homers in the 8th. Just a pretty impressive performance against, George Kirby.
No slouch.
George Kirby's good. Yeah.
The broadcast kept talking about how good George Kirby was, and I have George Kirby on my fantasy team. I'm well aware of how good this guy is, and so, you know, it was a lot of fun. Surprising, Kirby really did not have his fastball today, but it's nice to see us actually take advantage of those mistakes, because I think something that I keep seeing over the past 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I don't even know how long this slump has been going on for, is that we're just watching these beautiful pitches go down the middle, we're fouling them off, or we're popping them up.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to see the bats come together for a night. And yeah, Santana and Sawinski especially, man, they have been atrocious recently. Like no other words. Like it was very nice. Yeah. Like they're fun.
It was a weird game for Sawinski because defensively he looked pretty rough out there in center field. But let's actually we talked about Sawinski a lot last night on NS9 Live. He's one of those curious guys where, you know, what I mentioned was every time that, like, I think I've made up my mind about the guy, he does a complete 180, right? Like when he's on fire and you're like, oh shit, maybe we've got something here. He completely turns into a pumpkin, right? For a month at a time. And then once you're ready to write him off and saying this guy sucks, like he's not even a major leaguer, he goes on this like vicious tear. So it's so frustrating because you see days like today and you're like, where is this more consistently? But hopefully maybe this is the start of the next Jack Sawinski hot streak. Who knows?
And I think I've tweeted this out before. My problem with Jack Sawinski is that he is either there's no middle ground. He's the best player in baseball or he's the worst player in baseball. Like
basically, and like that's not even an exaggeration. Like that's 100% true.
And the problem is that it's like 75% of the time he's the worst player in baseball, because that's just the nature of baseball. Like you're not going to be successful all the time. But when Jack Sawinski's bad, he is a AAA player. Like he's the worst player on the team, but then you get nights like tonight where he goes yard, he's hitting the ball well, and I do think I'm done with the Jack Sawinski experiment in center field, but I understand why he's there, because who else are we going to put there? The organization clearly doesn't view Reynolds as a center fielder, which I guess is fair. So, put him in there, but like his routes are so bad.
It was rough today.
Yeah. Like his routes are bad. Like he makes up for it because like he does hustle very hard. He's fast. And I know the sabermetrics like him on defense, but the arm strength is bad. His routes are bad. And so with that in mind, I just don't see him ever being a long-term center fielder. And maybe the Pirates disagree, but I don't think he's cut out for it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, you look at him and he's not necessarily making plays that you would think an average center fielder does make. And today, cost the Pirates runs today out there in the outfield. So luckily he made it up with the bat. But let's kind of stick with this offense too. Sawinski again, great performance. Hopefully we got another hot 2 weeks out of him to come, and we can go back to thinking he's good again before he goes off the grid for another month. But really, really awesome game from Sawinski. Andrew McCutchen, let's spend a little more time with him too. He leads off the game, kind of sets the tone with that leadoff homer. The guy just keeps hitting. Like the leadoff spot seems like a really good place for him. His on-base percentage up to 364 now. That was his 8th home run of the year, 295th of his career, so he's only 5 away there. He's closing in on 2,000 career hits. Man, like it's really impressive to see what Kutch has done, because I don't really know. I mean, the Pirates have been pretty bad in May, but outside of Kutch and then Marcano, no one's done anything in May. So like I can't even imagine where we'd be right now without Kutch. And like thank God he reached out like to sign with this team.
I don't think that's terribly fair to someone like Reynolds, like who started off the month of May, like the first 11 games, I think he was hitting over 400. But yeah, like the Kutch has been really solid, and even he dipped a bit. Like you could obviously, he had like over OPS over 1,000 in April, and that was never going to he's not Aaron Judge, but he's been really a breath of fresh air. 4 hard hit balls today. On base twice. It's nice to see. And I don't know about you. It was every single home run looked like they were going to be easy pop-ups, except Sawinski's first home run. When I saw Kutch's first, I'm like, well, that's an easy pop-up. But no, he's seeing the ball really well. He's walking a lot. He's hitting the ball hard, and he does not look 36 years old. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, he's running as fast as some of the fastest guys in the league. It's pretty incredible what he's doing with his sprint speed.
He almost caught Austin Hedges on the Brian Reynolds triple.
Yeah. To your point here, the home runs. Let's see, Brian Hayes. This is what kind of surprised me. Yeah, because you look at them off the bat, and not every one of them. Now, some of them were crushed. Like Reynolds' home run was crushed.
Yeah.
Sawinski's home runs were crushed. Marcano's home run was crushed.
Yeah.
But like Kutch's home run is a home run in 19 parks. Brian Hayes' home run was a home run in 14 parks. Santana's in 22. So in PNC, it would not have been a home run for Santana, by the way. But yeah, it was crazy because I feel like we have not played too many games in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
You kind of always hear about like this when you go to the West Coast, it gets night. You get this marine layer coming in, and I don't know if that just doesn't exist in Seattle or what, but whatever was going on there today, the balls were flying.
Well, the funny thing is that I'm almost positive. I'm looking at this right now. I'm pretty sure Seattle's the most pitcher-friendly park in baseball. I am right. Yeah, by StatCast,
Yeah,
it's the most pitcher-friendly ballpark in baseball. And so to hit 7 home runs as an offense is just really, really struggling. It makes absolutely no sense, but I am 100% here for it. Like, tonight was a lot of fun. And, I hope it's not like the D-back series where like we scored all our runs in that one game and then chose not to score anything else the next 2 games. Like we need a series win in the worst way possible. The Brewers are falling off a cliff. The Cubs are falling off a cliff. Like the division is ours to take it. Like we can take the division, but like it needs to be where you can pick up Mitch Keller when he's not at his best. Because if you told us coming in tonight Mitch Keller was going to give up 6 runs, you would have gone to bed. You would have said, it's not worth my time.
No post-game show. It's canceled. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, so very refreshing change of pace.
I think that's a good point because, up to this point in the year, Mitch Keller has been the one kind of picking up the offense, right?
Yeah.
And tonight it was nice to see the offense pick up Mitch Keller. And it was a weird game for Keller. Listen, I want to get into that. Maybe not quite yet. We still have some more to talk about on the offense, but I do want to hit on a couple other people here. Brian Reynolds, 3 hits tonight, 3 for 4, 4 runs batted in. He stole a base. Hit the home run again was kind of a majestic shot there in the 8th.
Yeah.
And then Marcano, we keep kind of bringing his name up as far as, is there finally someone in this revolving door of shortstops that we've been trying since Cruz has gone down, who's like actually taking the reins, who can play the position, and he's competent at the plate. And this little run that Marcano's on since he's been getting regular playing time has been good. And he's been hitting the ball hard. Like today, the home run, 103 miles an hour. He hit a double, 102 miles an hour. He lined out 99 miles an hour. So the guy is hitting the ball hard. He's getting the barrel to the ball. Just it's impressive to see his development since like when he was acquired to last year. Still not really looking that great, but I kind of had flashes here and there last year. And this year, like he's looking like someone who's like he's contributing at the big league level in a positive way.
Yeah. And I don't want to like jump to like any major conclusions about Marcano. I'm very, very happy to see him. Like, it's like I think there's been articles published, and I haven't read them, but like apparently, like he's really changed his approach. He's hitting the ball harder. Like he looks like a different hitter at the plate, and that makes me excited. I need to see a larger sample size though to like be 100% convinced. Like, yes, he is the guy who can platoon with Castro, or he's the guy who can back up for Cruz all the time. Because if he hits like this, I mean, that's an everyday starter at second base. Like you have, if you have an 800 OPS at second base, that is incredible stuff. But at the very least, he is someone who is playing himself onto a major league roster and will get playing time And at the very least, if Marcano is hitting like this and he's on your bench, that's a pretty good bench piece to have. And, we talk about the lack of depth on this team, and there is a lack of depth, but he's helping that lack of depth like in a really nice way.
He really is, because we were getting to the point where it was like, there's no one on this team who can fill this shortstop position. And now that he's gotten kind of this run of playing time, it's just so refreshing, because like you don't have to put Castro there, who obviously playing out of his element as shortstop. You don't have to play Chris Owings, where at one point I was on a show being like, hey, I just want someone who can make routine plays at shortstop. If that's Chris Owings, play Chris Owings. Like, I don't even care at this point. But the fact that Marcano has taken the reins, he's making the routine plays. He's not really doing anything spectacular defensively. He's making a decent play here and there, but he's doing things that like an average shortstop should be doing in the major leagues. And he's hitting. Like, the fact that he's hitting, like, that's icing on the cake. But yeah, really, really developing into a nice little player. Again, I agree with you. Like, we need to see more of this. Like, I'm not ready to crown him, Cruz's backup for the long term, or I'm not going to just like put his pen. I'm not going to like write in pen, his name in the second base lineup for years to come. But you're seeing some positive signs and actual growth and development from the previous Tucupita Marcanos that we've seen.
Yeah. And like, he's still a bit of a slapstick hitter. Like, I see a lot of comparisons to Adam Frazier. I think a lot of it because he was in the Adam Frazier trade. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Adam Frazier, but if you get an everyday Adam Frazier player, that is valuable. That is someone who can come in, he can get hits. He's never going to be a big power guy. Like I said, like 100. If you're hitting the ball 103 miles an hour, you're not going to hit consistent home runs if that's the biggest. That's the most you're hitting it. Mm-hmm. But I am here for it. Like, I am all aboard Marcano becoming a Major League Baseball player, and congrats to him, because he was great tonight.
One other guy, go ahead.
He's better than Chris Owings. Mm-hmm. Like, so much better.
Yeah. Like right now, he's better than Chris Owings. Yeah, without a doubt. I do want to talk about one other guy. We give him a lot of shit whenever he deserves his shit. Today, he deserves a little bit of credit. Ji-Hwan Bae gets to start at second base today. He's been hitting the ball, like putting the ball in play. Like, his batting average for May hasn't been his issue, right? Like, he is actually getting hits for the past month. The problem is when he's been getting hits, it's been worthless because he immediately is running himself into outs on the base paths. Today, he gets 2 hits, but he doesn't like do anything crazy on the bases. He's not running into outs. He ends up scoring a run by just staying put and just moving from base to base one inning. So that was my personal feelings on Ji-Hwan Bae aside, right? I do believe that he possesses skills to be a useful Major League Baseball player. The problem with Ji-Hwan Bae up to this point in the year is that he hasn't been able to showcase those skills consistently because he's just not he's not playing the game in a way that he should be playing the game. Today you finally saw, and he shows it in spurts where it's like, this guy can change games sometimes, but then in other times you're like, what is this person doing? He drives you so crazy because you know that like the speed is elite. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The speed is elite. So like use it in a productive way. And when he doesn't, and he instead uses it in a way to run himself into outs, it's frustrating. Today, he kind of played within his element and he contributed to the offense. He wasn't a detriment anyway.
So, he might be the dumbest baseball player I've ever seen play at the major league level. But he just wasn't given the opportunity to do that today. Like, he wasn't able to steal or take massive leadoffs. And that's refreshing. I think the way that I've started to contextualize him is that he doesn't strike out. he hits the ball. He doesn't hit the ball very well. And so I kind of see him as Kevin Newman, but with insane speed, where Kevin Newman will just ground out the shortstop every time and sometimes hit the ball to the outfield. But Bay has the speed to where he can beat out infield hits. They can turn singles into doubles. My main issue is that he has no baseball IQ.
Yeah.
And so he did hit 302. He has hit 302 this month, but I would have to ask, how many runs has he driven? Like, how many hits has he gotten with runners in scoring position? Because I can't imagine that number is very high. How many times has he ruined the time he got on base because he got himself out? And his defense is still a liability. And so he does deserve credit tonight. He was good tonight, even though he was 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. But he is a rookie, so like he, needs time to develop. I'm not sure I'm seeing more than a career bench player, and that's okay.
It's fair. Yeah.
Because like he's a guy you can use as a defensive sub and center, second base, shortstop. He can pinch run. He can, he has usefulness. Like any team in the major leagues would take Juwan Bay as their 26th guy on the roster. I feel like the 302 batting average this month is a little misleading. Maybe that's because of my personal feelings about him, but I don't know. He annoys me as a player, so I might be.
All that's understandable. I get it. You mentioned, Kevin Newman. I feel like the main difference there is if G1 Bay does need to probably get better, bat to ball skills. He's striking out more than you would want somebody with that speed to do. He is young, like Mark brings up here. He's just 23, so he's got time to figure that out. But like a 25% strikeout rate with somebody with that type of speed, you want that guy's strikeout rate to be around 10% probably. Get that, and that'll just generate more hits, which generates more, havoc on the base paths. So it was a positive. He showed signs of life today. Obviously, we need to see more of that from Bay if he's going to play a role on this team. Like I said, it was a step in the right direction. He didn't do anything dumb. He didn't cost the team any runs today.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when he's on, and we can kind of harness that skill set that he has, he can be a problem for other teams.
100%. And I think you talked about he's 23. I mean, Marcano's 23, Castro was 23. I think Sawinski has to be 24.
Sawinski's 24.
We are talking about a bunch of very, very young baseball players who all have skills that they can bring to the game. They all have skills, but when you look at each of those players, you kind of have to keep them where this team was constructed in mind in the first place, which was a very platoon heavy team where you don't play every day. You play in the position you're best put to succeed. And that way you provide the most value, because I just don't see those guys all four of those guys becoming everyday Major League Baseball players. But if you use them correctly as bench pieces and rotate them in and out, you do have something special. You can use Jack and Bay's speed. You can use Castro's power. You can use Sawinski's power. You can use Marcano's defensive flexibility. All of those guys have tools that can contribute to the Major League team. But I struggle to see a lot of them being everyday starters on a contending Pirates team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. So a lot of talk there about the offense, and they deserved it today. 11 runs. Let's shift focus to the pitching staff. I don't really want to talk about Dwayne Underwood Jr. again. So he pitched a scoreless ninth. That's enough to say there. Let's end with Keller. So let's talk about the seventh and eighth inning. Yohan Ramirez comes in, and I tweeted this out tonight, but I'm not necessarily to the point where I'm not ready to declare Yohan Ramirez good. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not there yet, but the stuff is very enticing. It's
Yeah.
it's very good. The sinker is one of the better sinkers I've seen, as of late. Really heavy sinker. I think he's due for a little bit of regression. He's got like a 93% left on base rate, which is completely unsustainable. So, there's going to be a little bit of regression there. But as long as he can limit the walks, which is what he's been doing so far this season, it's been a struggle for him in the past. If he can limit the base runners via a walk, he can be effective. And he has been effective all year doing that.
Yeah, I am a huge Johan Ramirez fan. I would like, and I think I've said this before on post-game shows, I want to see him when we aren't up by 5 runs. I think that's the big thing because, like, he has the stuff. And I'm sure they have very good reasons for why he hasn't been put in high-lever situations. But I don't know, like, the sinker is filth. And what I like most about him as a reliever is that he just limits the hard contact. People hard off of Johan Oviedo. And so, yeah, he walks people. And you're right. What you said, 90% something left on base. Like, that's never going to stay that high.
93%.
At 90, that's insane. And probably a lot of that's just because, like, the game is so out of reach to, like, teams aren't trying as hard. But no, like, I would like to see him get a chance to take that 7th inning role spot because we don't really have a 7th inning guy. Like, we've been rotating through people like Stevenson, maybe Hold. I don't know. The bullpen names are escaping me, but I would like to see him try it out. And if it's not, that's okay. He can be more of a 6th inning guy or like the guy to come in when you're up or down by 3 runs and you need someone like to put a clamp on the game. But yeah, no, I'm very encouraged. I've enjoyed watching him pitch every time he takes the mound.
Yep. I'm like officially to the point where he's got my attention. That's where I'm at. Like I'm not ready to declare anything one way or the other, but like Johan Ramirez, you've got my attention.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Mitch Keller day. So we're 27 minutes in. We haven't talked about Mitch Keller yet. Easily his worst start of the year. He goes 6+ innings. He gives up 6 runs. He does keep his streak alive of striking out at least 8 batters. This was a 6th straight start, striking out 8 batters or more. It was a weird start for him because, like, at times he looked really good, like dominant, and then at times, like he got hit pretty hard. Gave up a couple homers, gave up 7 hits, walked 2 batters. Like it was a kind of an inconsistent outing. But I think what's interesting about this outing and how you can kind of know that Keller's turned the corner. Like, even though he gave up 6 runs in 6 innings, it's a bad start.
Yeah.
It was just one of those starts where still, like, he gave up 6 runs, but he didn't look like a pitcher who was giving up 6 runs. Like he still looked like Mitch Keller. It was just like some events happened and they didn't go his way. And here we are at the end of the game, and the line's not good, but the Pirates win, and somehow he gets a win, doing what he did. But it was a weird start. What were your thoughts just kind of watching him throughout the night?
My thoughts were that, like, he didn't pitch badly enough to where I think 6 earned runs were deserved, if that makes any sense. Like, I legitimately, his stuff, he had good stuff today. Like, there were some of his breaking balls. Like, I think specifically on that, like, that strikeout, the 3-pitch strikeout to Kalanick.
Yeah,
like, he had absolute filth at times during this game. It was weird. It's like he walked a few players. I don't think like all the hits he gave up were necessarily like really great hits. You don't want the 2 home runs, but I almost. But you can't groove pitches to J.P. Crawford like that. So I think it was. I don't think he deserved to give up 6 runs, but the mistakes he made were punished, and they were punished pretty hard. Because that pitch to Crawford was right over the heart of the plate.
It was a cookie, and he had a 6-run lead. Like, to be fair, like but yeah, he gave him a cookie.
Yeah, and but like I think I mentioned it, it's nice that he was picked up, even though he didn't have his best stuff. But yeah, it's very weird. It's like I don't think he pitched that badly.
No, I don't think he did either. Yeah,
and like I don't, if Sawinski fields that ball correctly in center, Cal Raleigh doesn't score. Cal Raleigh's not a fast guy.
No.
And he probably gets out of the inning. Obviously, that we can't know that, but I trust in Keller enough. And Julio's Julio. I know he's been bad this year, but I mean, can you think of like times where like he just looks terrible with the stuff?
No, like at no point during his 6 runs that he gave up was I like Keller looks bad.
Yeah,
the hit by pitch where he hit who did he hit like in the Ty France? I think it may have been France. Yeah. He kind of came up and in, hit his helmet. Like that was a bad pitch. Like he completely missed his spot. That was bad. But yeah, like for the most part, I thought he looked good. Like you mentioned before, the stuff was great. He dominated Kellenic kind of like all night. That he was just feeding him those sweepers, and Kellenic had nothing. Wanted no part of it. But it was one of those outings where, yeah, like your ace is gonna do this from time to time, but like he didn't. When I guess to put it in a way, like when Rich Hill gives up 6 runs, Rich Hill looks bad.
Yeah.
But Mitch Keller gives up 6 runs tonight, and he didn't look bad. Like he didn't look bad doing it.
Sometimes that happens. Like sometimes you can pitch really well, and MLB hitters are still going to hit it because they're MLB hitters and they're really good at their job. So like concern levels for Keller are basically non-existent. He still got those 8 strikeouts. Yeah, it was just a weird game. Like again, 7 home runs. Like the ball was flying. But like here's the thing: like he gave up 6 earned runs, 7 hits, only 5 hard hit balls the entire night by Mitch Keller.
Yeah, like I said, he looked good. Like it was one of the best 6-run outings I've ever seen someone pitch.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Like it was kind of, I think it was kind of watching like the Zach Gallen game. Where like Zach Gallen looked fine, like his stuff looked good. We were just hitting his stuff.
Yeah,
and
sometimes that happens.
Yeah,
So like really, I mean, it's a kind of a blip in the radar there for his season, but I don't expect this to like spiral into anything out of control. Because he looked like the same Keller for the most part. Keeping him in the 7th, little bit of an interesting decision, especially being so cautious with him his last time out.
Yeah.
Shelton brings him back on to the 7th inning, and that's where he gave up those 5th and 6th runs.
Yeah,
with a 6-run lead. I mean, looking in hindsight, it doesn't matter. Like Pirates won 11-6, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. But I was surprised they brought him back out there.
I did too. I mean, the decision last game with the 84 pitches made a lot of sense. Like I don't know if you guys anyone saw like Shelton's answer post game. But basically, he was like, I think it was something like he was tipping his pitches out of the stretch. And so we didn't want to send them back out there because they, or there's something, or sorry, it was his release point. His release point out of the stretch was not good. So he's like, Shelton pulled, and like, I'm fine with that. We lost the game, but that's a fine move. It then doesn't make a whole lot of sense to then trot him back out there for the 7th inning when you're up 6 runs on 93 pitches.
Yeah.
I don't get that move. And again, it doesn't matter in the long run. But no, I'm a big Shelton defender. I don't think he's as bad as people say. I didn't get that move at all. And luckily it didn't cost us.
Yep, that's fair. All right, let's get this thing wrapped up. But yeah, really, really nice win. Nice game to watch. I mean, if you're going to stay up late for a West Coast game, this is what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
So 11-6 win. Pirates move to 26-24. The Brewers lose tonight. So the Pirates are now just a half game out of first place, despite winning just 6 games this month. It's kind of wild. It's crazy. I don't know how that's happening. Some news for tomorrow that was just said on Twitter here. Vince Velasquez will start tomorrow for the Pirates. Roansy Contreras was scheduled to start. There are no plans yet to determine what the rotation is going to look like after tomorrow, but Vince Velasquez will start tomorrow.
Okay.
So
if I see Luis Ortiz's name in the Vince Velasquez tweet tomorrow from the Pirates, I'm going to be very, very upset.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. So we'll Vinny V is back tomorrow. So that's it's an afternoon game tomorrow, I believe. Game 2 Saturday, 4:10 p.m. Eastern time. And the Pirates face another good one, Luis Castillo. Seen a lot of them with his time with the Reds. So, Vince Velasquez, Luis Castillo tomorrow, 4:10 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully the Pirates can finally win a May series. That would be incredible. Have not won a series yet this month. So that's all I got, though. Neil, anything else to add before we hop out of here?
No, I'm good.
We're good. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you don't know yet, NS9 tailgate next Saturday at PNC Park. If you're going to the game, check it out. We're going to be in the lot kind of right there by Southern Tier Brewing, right in that area. So that's a gold lot. I forget which number, but it'll be in the comments here. Cody, if you're listening, comment it. NS9 tailgate, we'll be doing a live podcast from the tailgate as well. So if you're in Pittsburgh, going to the game, come by, say hi, enjoy some food, some beer, all that good stuff. But that's all. Pirates win 11-6, 26-24 on the season. We'll catch you tomorrow, guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.